The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good. How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico and Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning. I'm Nico and Haan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To recover our natural health, our rights, and our freedoms. Good morning. I'm Paige Clarke.
And it's a beautiful morning in downtown Clearwater, Florida. 64 degrees, going up to, looks like 76 today. Sunshine all day.
We're having lovely weather all week.
Yeah, this is heaven.
That's nice. This is, I was driving on the road the other day, and I noticed that this is actually like our fall. This is where we see some leaf changing.
Yeah.
And it's strange. It's January, but this is where we see a slight change in color. But anyways, if you have any questions for our show, we'd love to hear from you. So you can reach me at Paige at TFNN.com.
And Nico at TFNN.com. And we're taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648. So you sent me a whole bunch of articles on protein, and I think this is a great subject. I think if people are really just tuning into our show, I think the first few shows of the new year kind of fall in line. We talked about, various different things that affect our body. And this is one of the biggest things because we all love protein.
Right. And protein is one of the necessary nutrients. And yet, I'm very interested in the good, the bad, and the ugly of protein. And this was inspired by an article written by Dr. Ron Rosedale over 11 years ago, or actually a talk he did.
Yeah, talk in 2006, October.
I think he's way ahead of his time. Yep. You know, we got all these people that are proposing diets that are making them famous, but I think he really had it all going on, 11 years ago.
Just before we came on, you mentioned something to me I think that's really important for people to understand, too, is that when people go onto a vegan or a vegetarian diet, their health improves. Mm-hmm. It's really important to realize why this happens. Why does it happen?
Well, it happens because they're not eating frankenfoods.
Exactly.
So for those of you that may be new to Nico and I, as you know, we like to recommend a primal or traditional diet, very much like the Wise Traditions diet. We say it's the yes you can if you get it from the right sources and you prepare it the right way.
True.
And I like to stay out of the argument of the polarizing argument between a vegan diet and, say, a paleo or ketogenic diet, because both of these diets can produce health. Mm-hmm. Question is, when you exclude any food type, I think, like the vegan diet at some point starts to show its deficiency on some of the fat-soluble things.
Yeah, especially the brain. So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan for 10 years or 20 years, probably doing really well. It's after that period of time, depending who you are and when you started, that things start to go a little bit wrong because of the indigestible parts of plants. They're so prolific in a vegan diet.
And the anti-nutrients.
And the anti-nutrients that are in plants to protect them from being eaten.
And the lack of fat-soluble activators that allow us to use the minerals from the plant.
And
so
also, we're not a fermenting machine. So animals that eat a lot of plants have several different stomachs that they pass things to.
Ruminants.
And they regurgitate it into different stomachs, and it sits there and ferments, and there's different bacteria in each stomach. We have one stomach. We have the stomach that receives everything, and then it starts to go through the digestive system. Really important to understand the digestive system first in line. After that is the really the small intestines, which are pretty large. They're long.
Very long.
Very long. But there's the small intestines, and this is where the protein and the fat gets broken down. then it starts moving into
That's where it gets assimilated, really. Things are broken down in the stomach. And then small intestines where we absorb it.
That's where you absorb it, yeah. So then we go down to the large intestines where the plant food is being absorbed. And this is where the bacteria and everything is for that. So if we're missing that first part of it, then your body may, somewhere along the line, refuse to act like it's normally acting in a nice stasis way.
So what I really like to say, though, is that I want to make that point again that if you are eating the standard American diet, the processed, packaged, boxed and bagged, canned and cooked food, you know, or Franken food, then your health is not going to be ideal. There's just no other way about it. And I applaud anyone who moves away from that food paradigm in any way, whether it be vegan or paleo or ketogenic. But when we look at the bigger picture, one of the things that I like to recommend to people that they understand is that the paleo or primal diet does not recommend as much protein as a lot of people have the perception. As we've said oftentimes, I think people think it's like the Flintstones where they had the brontosaurus steak plopped on and their car went sideways. This is not the case. We are more looking at healthy fats with moderate, or what we like to say, adequate protein. So I think Dr. Rosedale really helps to educate us on why lower protein that vegans and perhaps vegetarians have may be one of the reasons that they have great health. And then those that do a ketogenic or a traditional Wise Traditions diet, or paleo, primal, whatever flavor you want to call it, when we do not use excess protein, we get great health results. And so let's explore that. The good and the bad and the ugly of protein.
And here we talk about Ron Rosedale, MD, the Rosedale diet. It says turn off your hunger switch. And the first thing we talk about is the good, bad, and ugly, but the good is pretty good. Right. And the good is that we can't live without it. It's a required nutrient. It's an essential nutrient.
Building blocks for healthy bodies.
Right. Unlike carbohydrates, which is a non-essential nutrient, which means you don't have to have any of it. With carbohydrates, you make whatever you need. With amino acids, which is the protein, you have to take some of them in.
So let that sink in, folks. If you're just eating a carbohydrate diet and you're not getting enough protein, you're not getting the essential amino acids.
Or you're getting protein from a different source, which means probably...
It's going to be incomplete protein.
Yeah, and this would be the incomplete proteins of grains, incomplete protein of beans. Yeah. Sometimes you can combine these and come up with a pretty good protein like rice and beans, which the Mexican people haven't embraced. Right. And, of course, the things they did to the rice, the things they did to the protein.
Soaking of the beans so that you could digest them to get rid of the anti-nutrients. So then we can go into a lot of the miscellaneous problems with proteins. You know, we don't have to go into all of that a lot, but, you know, there's some other researchers that have mentioned there's a lot of articles that show it's not detrimental, okay? So it's confusing. You know, people so detriment of protein. It's about the quantity, I think, and the way it's prepared.
Yes, so, definitely is about the quantity.
Yeah.
Because they did studies in the Alzheimer's. And if you're eating a lot of protein, Alzheimer's is you're more likely to get Alzheimer's than you are, say, the vegans.
Yeah, that's the whole point there, and I've seen that presented to a lot of vegans.
Yeah.
They say, you know, dairy products aside, when they look at the factors of consuming meat, 3 times the risk. What's going on with that meat, though? It's the quality of that meat.
And maybe over-consuming.
The over-consuming that meat is what we're going to see.
And probably if you're consuming meat that isn't up to standard, you're not getting the nutrients, so you're going to overeat because your body's telling you it's not satisfied. We'll be right back, folks. We have a brand new Health Signals newsletter, number 2 for the year here, all about the Codus Alimentarius.
Controlling the food, controlling the people.
We'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Welcome back. We're talking about the good, the bad, the ugly about protein. And, let's talk about some studies here. We've seen that high protein diets may precipitate a progression of coronary artery disease. But what's really at play there? Though there's an increase in lipid deposition and through inflammatory and coagulation pathways, that this kind of thing happens. But if this is true, what else is going on and what's the underlying cause? And we've known and we've shared with you that really high sugar insulin levels are what are creating the inflammation in the arteries. But so we know that actually high protein levels can raise glucose levels through gluconeogenesis, right? We actually make sugar out of proteins. And that's why it may be disadvantageous to us to eat too much.
Yeah, if you eat a high-protein diet, there's an excess stimulation of transport to the liver. You flood the liver with amino acids, and it's got to do something with them. And the two things, you can do two things with protein. You can make the protein, or you can replenish the parts that have been broken down, or you can burn it for fuel. So just those two things are the only things that can be done with protein. However, excess too, it can be stored as fat.
That's exactly what happens. And that's why I like to say you see a lot of athletes, football players, bodybuilders who maybe in their 20s were real lean, mean fighting machines because they were eating every 6 meals a day, every hour and a half. But they're feeding off of those, what I call them processed food bars, excess protein, 26 grams of protein in this bar. Oh my gosh, what I think they're doing to their kidneys. Oh my gosh, what they're doing to their body's signal, keeping those insulin levels elevated. They don't have insulin levels that come up and go down, with 2 or intermittent fasting. Theirs just stays up high like this.
So if you're eating excess protein, insulin gets involved just like it does with carbohydrates.
And that's exactly right, Nico.
And that's really important, folks, because remember the other day we were talking about how carbohydrates spike the sugar, which means that protein can spike the sugar too, because your body has a nice way of, it's changing it to glucose because it's changing it to fuel. And too much glucose boom, there you're at it again. Now the insulin comes along, forces it into your fat cells, and now if you're eating that standard American diet where you're eating those Big Macs or those bars, the protein bars and things like that, have all kinds of processed food in it, probably fructose that we talked about
our listener, actually, Ethan, sent me a message about protein bars and what I thought, and I just kind of think they're a processed food. I mean, an occasional one. I mean, in case you're kind of stuck somewhere, if you're hiking maybe, but I just don't think it should be a part of your everyday meal.
I like beef jerky. There's a lot of things. You can carry fat very easily.
Pemmican, right?
Pemmican is wonderful.
Higher in fat, but not to get too far. Gluconeogenesis was increased with a high-protein diet. That means you actually make sugars, and you create that sugar for your blood. So we can kind of conclude that a normal protein diet is accompanied by delayed progression of the continuous loss of insulin. So we're kind of having to reestablish it, the body reestablishes making blood sugar. And so we know that in diabetics there's a loss of the function of the pancreatic cells, and here they're saying that it's the high protein that may contribute to that. And we see a lot of diabetics who end up with kidney failure later.
Yep.
And that's really, protein is a stressor on the kidneys.
Protein seems to be a stressor on everything if you overindulge.
And that's the key.
And
like Rosedale says, he's a proponent, as we are, of adequate protein. But that's the question: what is adequate protein? And we'll get into that a little bit later. Adequate protein, not excessive protein. So after you adapt to a protein-restricted diet, if you restrict protein, diabetics usually experience a 30% decrease in their glucose concentration. So literally, as they reduce their protein, their blood sugars improve. It's not just about reducing the refined carbs. And, so a lot of doctors experience good results with diabetics and people who have blood sugar when they restrict their carbs, but they're actually seeing when they decrease the meat. This is why I think a lot of plant-based proponents see such great health results with people with blood sugar problems, because they're not just giving up the processed foods, they're giving up a lot of their excess, quarter pounders and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a side note, of course, the reason that we don't indulge in reaching the protein, in other words, we're not going to overindulge in protein, is because the type of diet that we're on gives you plenty of satisfaction because of the healthy fats that we eat along with the protein, right?
Correct. And this is kind of like what one doctor was explaining. This is what he would do when he had a diabetic. He put all of them on a low-carbohydrate diet, but it doesn't make sense to feed a diabetic sugar. We know that, right?
That makes sense.
But in those that had more trouble processing sugar, the next step was reducing their protein, and he'd restrict it a lot. For an average-size adult, he'd put them down to 50 grams a day, maybe 30 grams a day for a small gal like me. Okay?
Definitely.
So, one egg has 7 grams of protein, right? And then their sugar would then go down. So it isn't just theoretical, it actually pans out in practice with these doctors.
And the 30 to 50% ratio there, or gram ratio, is just perfect, because I can go right in between both of those. I mean, I fairly seldom get over 50.
Many people would think that you, being an athlete, and as you all may know, Nico is a, placed jiu-jitsu world champion in his age group. So most people would think, because of your active life, that you eat a lot of protein, but the truth is Nico eats a lot of healthy fats.
Yeah.
Animal-based fats, the way our body recognizes them. And yes, in many cases there's protein that comes along with that. But I really find that I myself also feel much better with less protein. And I'm a little gal, I'm only 5 foot. So, I really find that if I really want to try and slim down and stuff, getting my protein down closer to that 30 is probably ideal. And there's some days I probably don't even hit that.
Yeah.
And that's okay if I do it every once in a while.
Yeah, well, overindulging is not a bad thing once in a while. And there's another hormone, of course, that we talk about often, which is leptin. And that also gets elevated during excess protein, just like with excess carb. So leptin is the signaling in your body that you're not hungry anymore, you're satisfied. That's the way I see leptin.
So you're saying elevated leptin levels may also be, if you see that on your blood work, that may clue you in that you're having too much protein.
Yeah, because you want that leptin down so you don't get hungry, because leptin will make you hungry.
Yeah. So we know that it increases the levels of insulin. Protein does. So I think a lot of people find this very surprising. I know a lot of bodybuilders.
I should say, turn it around. The leptin, actually, when it's raised.
No, that's what I was thinking after I was going to come back. But okay, so leptin the higher the leptin, it's a sign that you're satiated.
That's
and so
right.
forth.
And low protein will raise that leptin.
Leptin should be high, insulin should be low, ideally. So, but think about a lot of these bodybuilders, and I mean, sometimes you look at them, you're like, wow, they look perfect, but they're eating so much protein.
Yeah, I've never seen that they look perfect. They don't look like a normal human being. They're doing this for a certain sport, and sports just aren't healthy for you.
Well, yeah, some of it can really I hear what you're saying. But what I do believe is that many times they're becoming so dependent on the sugar, but this sugar, to their surprise, is not just coming from the carbs. It's coming from the protein. So when they say, I'll have an 8-ounce piece of lean chicken and dry broccoli, they may not be doing the best thing for their physiology,
That's right. And then just before the competition, instead of that, what they do is, of course, they start using MCT oil and different fats.
But listen to this,
To
real quick.
slim down.
Yes. I want to come back to this leptin thing. I want to clarify that. So we're going to continue with the good, the bad, and the ugly of protein. We need it, but how much do we need? You're going to learn more.
And the number
Stay
here is
tuned.
877-927-6648. Give us a call, folks, and see us on the Healthy Fit Club when you get a chance to.
Would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. And we conclude that severe protein restriction decreases insulin requirements in type 1 diabetes, and fasting hepatic glucose output and basal insulin levels in normal people. In other words, it lowers insulin levels, but not just in diabetes.
So that's severe protein, and that's not the goal to be severe. We want adequate protein, but
it
we
shows
also
you the mechanism, though.
Yeah, we know that protein increases the level of insulin, as we've been discussing on this show, and we know that there's an insulinogenic effect in eating high protein.
Right.
So you're going to be staying in and potentially creating a situation, the dreaded insulin resistance, and that creates weight gain.
Right.
But we also know there's a leptin increase, and we want to clarify that from the previous thing. Amino acids increase leptin.
Right.
That's because when you get amino acids, you're telling your body, oh, I'm getting the building blocks, so I'm satiated.
That's
leptin.
Right.
So it stays high. However, continual high levels of insulin and leptin can cause insulin resistance and leptin resistance. Remember, resistance means the cells are ignoring the signal.
Right.
And it's not getting it. So you might get a short-term benefit from high protein, but it may be at a price of a long-term detriment. Therein comes the point we're making. We need to have adequate protein, not high protein. So if you keep those levels high too long, you're going to have extremely elevated leptin, you're going to stay in insulin resistance, and you're going to start wondering why you can't lose the weight.
Yeah, and he says here that the cells work the same way. If they're overstimulated, they just put on earplugs. And
they don't hear you.
They don't hear you.
Exactly.
So you can't keep shoving this stuff in and expecting your body to say, okay, I can handle it. Because it
and it's a central nervous system thing, Nico. There's more critical role for leptin and insulin in our mammalian energy systems. It's very important for homeostasis, and people are ignoring leptin, but it's probably more important than insulin in diabetes. So if you're working with a functional health practitioner, they're going to be really looking at how your insulin and leptin levels are playing, and because it's all an energy storage disease. That's what diabetes, cancer, they're all energy storage diseases.
So why isn't this in the mainstream? Mainly because with leptin, there are no drugs that control it.
They haven't found a drug to fix it.
Yeah, so you can't really cure it.
They don't want to teach anybody about that, right?
Yeah, one of the rules is if there's a disease, there has to be a cure.
But it can be controlled through diet. And we're all here, guys. Nico and I are here every day that we're here, just trying to help you get some information, because we believe the new health care is self-care. And it is what tells you, it's what tells you what to eat. You eat to control insulin and leptin, period, guys.
Certain eating behaviors extend lifespan. They've shown that with dietary restriction.
Dietary restriction is the only thing that has ever been proven to extend lifespan.
Yeah, but they thought it was calorie restrictions, and it's not. It's certain elements of the diet, which is sugar and protein, not fat. That's the crucial thing to understand. The fat is never the problem, unless it's unhealthy fat, of course, but the sugar and the protein.
That's huge, guys. It's the sugar and the protein that needs to be restricted, not the calories, but the type of food. So we don't want the junky sugar, and we don't want excess, especially the junky proteins. So you're starting to see how really people can thrive on either a ketogenic, which is a higher fat diet, or even a vegan and vegetarian diet, because they're decreasing both of these. Long term, where do you thrive? It's probably somewhere like the Wise Traditions diet, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this is a good way to think about eating, too, is, when I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat tonight, I pick out my animal protein source, the first thing, the cleanest possible thing I can find, and I decide if there's enough fat in there. And usually I try to buy the fatty cuts, so that's fine. And then I decide what I want to accompany it, and usually it has to do with color. I want some green in there. I want
power in the pigment.
Yeah, so that's the way I look at my meals. I strictly concentrate on a healthy animal protein and the fat that goes along with it, and the rest of it.
But you concentrate on it, but you don't make it the big meal. So I wish
size of the palm of my hand.
I wish we could have this conversation last night. My son Austin, he's doing an Instagram food channel. He calls it Bro Food or something. Okay. So he's sort of proud of himself. Sure. So he called and said, "I'm going to make you guys fillets tonight." Okay, so, and they were nice, but again, half of a half is about what I need. So I like to have some greens myself with slivers of the meat and everything. But he's still at that thinking he needs to have this huge thing. He does work out hard.
Yeah, a fillet doesn't have a lot of fat in it. It's probably about 35% fat, I would say, when you look at a piece like that. And I like it to be a little bit more.
More like the ribeyes.
Yeah, so what I would do instead of, if I would have that, I would probably put some butter on
Put some butter, or do it like the French do it, steak au pois, with cream, cream and butter and pepper. But anyways, I digress. Anyways, let's go back to...
So
you can find out that you have really a vicious cycle of disease when you don't maintain leptin and insulin. Yeah. In fact, those are really big players in this whole situation of metabolic disease. That's why your body has a problem with it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Lower leptin concentrations appear to occur without evidence of increased hunger. So if you lower leptin, you increase leptin sensitivity. It's suggesting a fundamental improvement in the resistance to leptin.
So that's kind of the same thing with insulin.
Yes.
You lower insulin, you're going to be more receptive to it.
Exactly.
You know? So
you get more...
more sensitivity.
More sensitive. That's what I was looking for.
The earplugs are pulled out of the cells. So the way to fix leptin, and therefore obesity, folks, and therefore aging, guys and gals, and diabetes, and all sorts of things, is by chronically keeping leptin down. Your hypothalamus can increase sensitivity to it and listen to it. I think that's a pearl. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's exactly stated.
Not just by trying to up it, okay? Because a lot of people have seen this. When leptin was first discovered, that's what they tried to do, just give more leptin. How have they been treating diabetes now? Give more insulin. Just up and up and up and up and up the insulin.
It's kind of like what we do with smoking.
Okay. No, you have to go down, 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 down the insulin, down, down, down
our whole
the leptin.
Society does this. You know, heroin addicts get methadone. I mean, it's the same thing almost.
Right.
People who are trying to quit nicotine, get nicotine.
I like what the author said here.
I mean, if you got the measles, should I give you measles? I mean, it doesn't make any sense here.
Well, maybe a little bit, so you're sensitive to it. That's the power of homeopathy, right?
Right.
The idea behind vaccination is not a bad idea. It's just that the vaccines we have never been proven safe and effective. That's a quote. Never been proven safe and effective, but the idea behind them, you know, because they've got aborted fetal tissue, they have formaldehyde and all these things, that's why they're not safe. But the idea of a little bit to create a, you know, build an immunity, that's why I like homeoprophylaxis as building immunity.
This is kind of what they're doing with kids and peanuts. There's a huge allergy with peanuts for many of the population. So in the last couple of years, they've been talking about start feeding your kids little bits of peanuts so they can get used to it, so that by the time they mature, they're not going to be, and I'm not sure if that works.
And again, eggs and peanuts, a lot of this is related. I'm sure we'd find out that they use some of these mediums for culture, but I want to get back to the leptin. I tell you, this is, I thought that is just wonderful, learning how to control these hormones, because really, when you have weight problem, you don't have a calorie deficit problem, you don't have a calorie excess problem, you have a hormone balancing problem.
Right.
And these hormones that are signaling in our body, it's not just our sex hormones. It's not the estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone that are always, it's the signaling, it's the insulin, it's the leptin, it's the ghrelin. So I think this is really great work, and I think that sometimes we find that much of the information that can really help us has been around for some time. But we've got to take a short break here, so make sure you pick up some of our Primal Edge, get our Health Signals newsletter so you can stay informed.
Got a neat little clip here about
on the turmeric paste.
On the last page of the Health Signals newsletter.
The ultimate pre-bed drink for anti-inflammatory
Take a look at that, folks.
work.
It's real good. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
Welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. You know, we know that communication is more dependent on listening, actually, than speaking. Cells have to be listened to. They have to be able to listen to a signal.
Right.
Because if I was in a room screaming at you, you wouldn't stay, would you?
No, not at all. I'd be out of there.
You know? So, you know, really, that's what the clue here is. Response to energy restriction involving leptin concentration is affected by your dietary composition. And what we've learned is that too much protein leads to leptin resistance. So we're going to have to start to look at ways that we can make sure we get adequate protein, not too much protein, so that we can make sure that our cells are staying receptive and listening to the message.
Yeah, and if you're eating the protein and your leptin goes up, if you keep eating that protein over and over and over, and your body starts changing that protein because it's too much, then all of a sudden the sugar gets involved, the insulin gets involved, and then all of a sudden the leptin gets involved too. So then you can start getting hungry. So it starts decreasing that leptin.
And we've heard a lot about a term called mTOR in the press.
Yes.
And Nico and I are going to break that down for you and explain to it.
Okay.
So because mTOR is activated by free amino acids, and there's been a lot of vegan, vegetarian friends of mine point to this.
Yes.
And again, agreed. People are eating too much protein, and usually that protein does not come from a source that,
when we're
that is
talking
ideal.
amino acids, we're talking protein.
Yeah, well, yeah, so what we mean is, the amino acids are coming from proteins, which could actually be from meats and also plant-based. I mean, you could actually get too much feasibly. So,
well, I think in the plant-based, you are getting too much because it's hard to break it down. So it kind of piles up.
There's a research article here cited that says that they propose that mTOR may be an appropriate nutrient sensor for leptin expression in your fat cells. So this is something that many people do not know about, and it's kind of unfortunate, but let's see if we can shed some light on it, because it is, the mTOR pathway is intriguing and may be one of the most, if not the most important nutrient sensing pathways in the body aside from insulin. I didn't know that. See, this is new for me.
Okay.
So the mTOR is activated by free amino acids, and it's a path that senses protein concentrations. So more specifically, the amino acid concentration. So it's linked to leptin, and amino acids stimulate the mTOR, which stimulates leptin. So see the connection? If we're getting too much proteins, we're getting too much amino acids, so we're going to stimulate the mTOR pathway.
The role of specific nutrients in calorie restrictions have been shown to increase longevity, which indicates that it's having positive results. However, it appears it is not calorie restrictions, but carbohydrate and protein restrictions in the diet.
Yeah, so this is what mediates the effect of longevity. So it's not eating a lot. It's eating nutrient-dense, with specific nutrients. And obviously, if we're going to decrease our carbohydrates and we're going to decrease our protein, what other nutrient has to go up? The fat.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay, it can't be the sugar, because the sugar...
Well, no, it says that you've got to restrict the carbs and you got to restrict the protein to produce longevical results. So the only other nutrient that can go up is the fat. That's right. High five.
I like it. Okay, excess protein actually increases damage and reduces your ability to repair it. So it's a kind of a double whammy. So what the excess protein is actually doing, it's causing all the mechanisms of your body not to work real well. It's kind of clogging up the system in a way with the sugar, the protein, all that stuff gets mixed in there, and your body really doesn't know what to do with it. It's kind of overloaded. So we're actually stopping the people who are repairing the stuff in your body. Say we got little men in there trying to clean things up, and you're just knocking them over the head. Stop that, stop that. It's not the way to do it, folks. So we can't have the excess. We've got to have just a nice, even, it's what our ancestors did. I mean, imagine waking up in the morning and you probably don't have a lot of food around because you ate it the day before. And if you have a little bit around, it's probably on a dry rack or something like that. So that's your breakfast before you go hunting, and now you're off. And I just revel in the days of our past, 10, 20,000 years ago, when we just woke up and now we're looking for food and we're trying to improve our life. And that's the only thing on our mind. Nothing else. Maybe sex. Yeah. I'm sure that's something, especially in the morning when I wake up. Yeah.
Okay, so we just said that we've shown that it appears it's not calorie restriction necessary. It's the restricting of two nutrients, one essential proteins, one not essential carbohydrates, and therefore the necessary increase of fat. But why would protein be so important in the regulation of aging? Because life is a constant battle between the damage and the damage control, right?
Right.
And so, like you said, we've got to make sure we have the ability to control this damage, the repair.
The repair, especially.
But we don't need to have too much.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. Life at high temperatures leads to a greater accumulation of irreversible damage that leads to death.
Yeah, this is the glycation type of thing that we're talking about. Because when you're burning protein, when your body is assimilating protein, your body heats up.
Sure. And glycation is what? When you're burning proteins and you're burning sugars.
Yeah, and the sugars get real sticky, and they stick to the protein, and that sticks to your artery walls, your all kinds of
to your skin.
things,
You start to see those liver spots, those age spots.
Yeah,
that's
wrinkles.
Wrinkles and age spots are a sign of glycation.
Yes.
So someone who's got a lot of liver spots and age spots probably has been having too much protein and too much sugar and a combination
and the
of
age
both.
spots really, and you mentioned this many times to me before, the liver spots are really some of the rancid oils from especially the polyunsaturated oils, like your omega-3s or probably like your vegetable oils, more likely.
Yeah, it's actually a pigment thing. Yeah, exactly. So one of the advantages you'll hear all over the place is that it's good to be thermogenic. Okay, we're taking thermogenics, right? If you go to a health food store, there are thermogenic aids all over the world. Burn this. One of the advantages given to a high-protein diet is it's thermogenic, helps you burn, 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 burn. And it is, according to Dr. Rosedale. Without question, protein is the most thermogenic nutrient you can eat. It will produce the most heat. But producing heat and living a long life are just not compatible.
If you're
That's right. That's one of his hallmarks that people say, what are you talking about? I mean, he's the guy that says maybe we don't need to have a super active thyroid as we get over 50. We're supposed to slow our metabolism down a little bit, conserve energy.
Well, we've often said, too, that we're more interested, when you turn 40 and above, you're interested in longevity, you're interested in repair and maintenance. You're not interested in, getting more children, usually. There's a different metabolism
required for procreation and growth, and there's a different metabolism maybe involved for longevity. And we see this in cultures, that maybe meditate, move slower, breathe more. A lot of Asian cultures don't eat a high-fire diet.
Yeah, you've got a nice little thing here. If you go to a gas station, there are two pumps. One pump will produce the most efficient fuel, and the other one, which will give you the most mileage, the other one will cause your car to run hotter. Which would you pick?
Yeah, I'd probably want the long-running,
exactly.
mileage one. I want to go a long way.
And we want to keep the heat down. That's why we have a radiator. That's why we have skin. That's why we're full of water, because we want to keep cooling ourselves.
Yeah, you'd never get the one that makes the car run hotter because that that's what's going to do to your engine.
That's
you know,
right.
you're going to burn hot,
So
not good
So
things.
when we get back from the break, we're going to talk about how this affects glycation and the growth
Oxidative
factors.
damage,
Yeah, all this
the
stuff.
growth factors, and aging. Because hey, you know, we all want to age well. We want that other word tacked on.
Well, for sure.
That's right.
Folks, pick up my Health Signal newsletter. Got a brand new one here. Got lots of stuff in here, as you see. Not working quite the way I want it, but there it is right there. Number 2, pick that up. Pick up some Primal Edge. A way to start the new year off right. And Paige and I'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Join John Logan as he teaches you trading techniques utilizing the TAS Profile Scanner. The Global Market Pulse, next on TFNN.
And welcome back to the show. You can reduce your aging to a certain extent, and therefore the diseases that associate with aging, if you adopt what we're talking about. Of course, I think disease, or not feeling well, disease, like you often say, is really a symptom that you're probably doing something wrong. You've overdone it, you're eating the wrong thing, you're exposing yourself to certain things that you shouldn't be exposing yourself to.
The body uses symptoms as a signal.
Yes.
Wants you to pay attention, just like the cells,
Wake up, folks.
Mm-hmm. So it's really important that we have proper nutrient sensing pathways, and that's critical. So let's talk about some things you can do.
And this is really the whole gist of this whole thing. It's the signaling that we give our body from what we put in our body.
Right. So insulin and IGF, or insulin-like growth factor, alter lifespan in rodents and many other species. And insulin is known to be involved in regulation of homeostasis in response to diet, and it's known to be linked to calories in the diet and extended action. there's two lines of evidence that indicate that insulin and IGF are not the only pathway. If you reduce insulin and IGF activity, and I want to just preface that with a lot of people in the anti-aging world, they know insulin should be low, but they're kind of looking for a high IGF as if it's a sign of youth. And I think
it's the other way around.
I think it could be the other way around from what Dr. Rosedale is saying here, that if the research shows that it's actually keeping a low insulin level and low IGF levels lead to extended lifespan.
No doubt.
And in fact, one of the researchers there got the Methuselah Award for having the longest lived mouse in these studies. So
these things seem to function with two separate but parallel pathways. Mm-hmm. So both of them are signaling kind of the same thing, but they're doing it on a different pathway. So, what you eat really has a big effect on it. These studies provide further support to the argument that protective effects of a dietary restriction are not limited to calories alone, but involve the aspect of protein metabolism as
sugar
well.
And protein, sugar guys, and protein. Restricting both to, sugar significantly and protein to an adequate amount. And that's what we're finding out. So lifespan is important, and not because nature cares about you, right. Okay, but it cares about reproduction, right. And it wants you to reproduce at a future, more opportunistic time if the nutrient availability isn't good now. Yeah, that's what's happening when you're young.
Yeah, so we can use that knowledge. We can still dig into the pathways that affect aging and health by what we eat. So this is a kind of a modern thing that we know that Mother Nature is not too interested after we have children. Mm-hmm. But now we know, through science really, and all these experiments that people are doing, that there is a way to keep us in maintenance and repair, because the idea is that if we're doing reproduction, that we're not having babies, so something else is reproducing, and it's usually cancer, and it's usually stimulated by all these mechanisms that we talk about today.
Right, and it's the exposure to things that tell them to grow, the insulin-like growth factor, right. The estrogenic, or the female hormone, which is the hormone that stimulates embryos to grow.
Right.
So, I think that we can take a look at this knowledge and understand that insulin tells things to grow, insulin-like growth factor. We want to slow those things down as we age. And we're beyond, if you're beyond the reproductive age, that's not to say that you want to overstimulate these even if you are in the reproductive age.
Right. Right, because the body will take care of that thing. Here's an interesting comment. Future studies that examine the link between amino acid transport and the mTOR activity will resolve the initial signaling events that result in the activation of mTOR targets, and will provide insights into the scavenging of nutrients by malignant cells.
Yeah, there's a lot of work, and we probably aren't going to have time today to go into it.
No.
But the best drug to reduce the mTOR cycling, tied in with cancer and so forth, to slow aging and chronic disease, avoid high protein. Adequate protein, avoid high protein.
It's a beautiful thing.
So join us next time, and we'll see you. Have a great day.
Thanks for sticking around, folks. Bye-bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.